I think we might have Stephen Miller back, and hopefully he can hear me now. If you
Yes.
might, Stephen. I have been going through some of the comments. It's no problem. I've been going through some of the comments to your call of this as insurrection. Both Senator Slotkin and Senator Kelly say you do not understand. You do not understand the UCMJ. You do not understand the Constitution. And apparently they are the sole authorities on insurrection and the Constitution.
Look, there is nothing graver that you could possibly say as a United States Senator than encouraging, urging, directing members of the armed forces of the United States or the clandestine services of the United States to defy their president, defy their chain of command, defy their superiors. To say such a thing would require you to have and to present to the nation some extraordinary scandal beyond even our wildest imagination, which of course they don't have, because every single thing that this president has done has been not only lawful, but has been repairing and reversing the unlawful and unconstitutional behavior of the previous administration, which opened our nation's borders up to millions of illegal aliens and foreign terrorists and gang leaders and cartel operatives and everyone else threatening peace, safety, and public order in the United States. So this conduct by these lawmakers is a direct attack on this republic. But there's an even deeper issue here that we have to understand. The Democrat Party has reached a point of extremism where the only thing that they believe is legitimate are the things that keep them in power and that keep their policies in effect no matter the will of the public. So, for example, if President Trump orders an illegal alien deported, they would have their district court judges block that deportation. But if they're in power, what will they do? End the filibuster, stack the Supreme Court, appoint 10 radical loyalists, and destroy our entire constitutional order forever. In other words, they don't believe in systems, they don't believe in rules, they don't believe in laws. They believe in whatever keeps them in power. And if what they think keeps them in power is a military insurrection or a CIA insurrection, that's what they support. But if in a different setting, if, say, a soldier doesn't want to take the COVID vaccine, then they represent a threat to order in their view, and that person must be crushed and deprived of employment, deprived of opportunity. If a Democrat, for example, complains about election integrity, that person's a hero. If a Republican complains of election integrity, that person's to be jailed and incarcerated for life. This is the moment that we're in. This is what we're dealing with. So when we say that Democrats are communists, we don't just mean that, well, they believe in the state control of property. We mean they've adopted a method of thinking in which any use of force is justified for their end state of power and control. So they become a third world party, and we have to internalize that. We're not dealing with the old Democratic Party. We're dealing with a third world party.
Stephen Miller, thank you so much for fighting through the technological issues, and thank you so much for being with us here today to address what I think is a very, very, very serious moment for our republic. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.